Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's from Canto 3, Chapter 1, and this morning we're doing texts 22 and 23. Okay, without further ado, we'll start the class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Jashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Jashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Yashoda Nandana Vrajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vrajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari 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 Jaya Om Vishnu Pad Paramhamsa Pribhajakacharya Astottara Satasiksi Maharaj Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jaya Om Vishnu Pad Paramhamsa Pribhajakacharya Astottara Satasiksi Maharaj Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavin Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवाचार्य गौर भक्तवृंद की जय Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Swami Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Bol. All glory is to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glory is to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glory is to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga Shri Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Teta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Siddhartha Sri Gaur Karuna Shakti Bhakti Teta Niti Namine. Narayana Namaskritya Naruntevam Narotavam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nashta Prayesva Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sivaya Bhagavati Uttama Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1, Text 22. Tasyam trita sosha naso manuscha pito agnagne asitasya vayo tirtam sudasasya gavam guhasya Gachrada devasya saasi seve Tasyam trita sosha naso manuscha pito agtagne asitasya vayo tirtam sudasasya gavam guhasya Gachrada devasya saasi sheve Tasyam titaso shanaso manusha pito atagne asitasya vayo titam sudasasya gavanguasya yachada devasya saasi sheve. Hare Krishna. Please stand.
Hare Krishna. तस्यात्रितस्योशनसो मनोष्य पृथोरथाग्निरसितस्य वायुः तीर्थं सुतास्य गवां कुहस्य यश्राथ देवस्य आशिषेवे. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Tasyam tritasya sanaso manasa prithar athagnir asitasya vaya ritham sudasasya gavam guhasya yatsada devasya sa asiseve. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Tasyam tritasya naso manuscha prithor athangnir asitasya vayo tirtham sudasasya gavam guhasya yachradda devasya sa avishisheve. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Word for word. We do word for word now. Tasyam, on the bank of the river Saraswati. Tritasya, the pilgrimage site named Trita. Ushanasa, the pilgrimage site named Ushana. Manucha, as also of the pilgrimage site named Manu. Preto, that of Pritu. Ata, thereafter. Agne, that of Agni. Asitasya, that of Asita. Vayo, that of Vayu. Tetam, places of pilgrimage. Sudasya, of the name Sudasha. Gavam, that of Go. Guhasya, that of Guhasya. That of Guha. Yad, thereupon. Shradadevasya, of the name Shradadev. Sa, Vidura. Asisheve, duly visited and performed the rituals. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. On the bank of the river Saraswati, there were 11 places of pilgrimage, namely 1. Trita, 2. Ushana, 3. Manu, 4. Pritu, 5. Agni, 6. Asita, 7. Vayu, 8. Sudasa, 9. Go, 10. Guha, and 11. Shraddhadev. Vidura visited all of them and duly performed rituals. We'll go to the next text. Text 23. Anyani cheha dvijadeva deve Ritani nanayatanani Vishnu Pratyanga mukhyan kitamandirani Yat dashanat Vishtam anusmaranti. Word for word. Translation. Anyani, others. Cha, also. Iha, here. Dvijadeva, by the great sages. Deve, and the demigods. Kritani, established by. Nana, various. Ayatanani, various forms. Vishnu, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prati, each and every. Anga, part. Mukhya, the chief. Ankita, marked. Mandirani, temples. Yat, which. Darshanat, by seeing from a distance. Krishnam, the original personality of Godhead. Anusmaranti, constantly remembers. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. There were also many other temples of various forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, established by 3 great sages and by the great sages and demigods, established by the great sages and demigods. These temples were marked with the chief emblems of the Lord, and they reminded one always of the original personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Report. Human society is divided into 4 social orders of life and 4 spiritual divisions, applying to each and every individual person. The system is called Varnashram Dharma and has already been discussed in many places in this great literature. The sages or persons who are completely devoted who completely devoted themselves to the spiritual upliftment of the entire human society were known as Tvija Deva, the best among the twice born. The denizens of superior planets, from the moon planet and upwards, were known as Devas. Both the Dvija Devas and the Devas always established temples of Lord Vishnu in his various forms, such as Govinda, Madhusudan, Nishringa, Madhava, Keshava, Narayan, Padmanabha, Parthasati, and many others. The Lord expands himself in innumerable forms, but all of them are none different from one another. Lord Vishnu has 4 hands, and each hand holds a particular item, either a conch shell, wheel, club, or lotus flower. Of these 4 emblems, the chakra or wheel is the chief. Lord Krishna, being the original Vishnu form, has only one emblem, namely the wheel, and therefore he is sometimes called Chakri. The Lord's chakra is a symbol of the power by which the Lord controls the whole manifestation. The tops of Vishnu temples are marked with the symbol of the wheel so that people may have the chance to see the symbol from a very long distance and at once remember Krishna, Lord Krishna. The purpose of building very high temples is to give people a chance to see them from a distant place. This system is carried on in India whenever a new temple is constructed, and it appears that it is coming down from a time before recorded history. The foolish propaganda by atheists that temples were constructed only in later days is refuted here because Vidura visited these temples at least 5,000 years ago, and the temples of Vishnu were in existence long, long before Vidura visited them. The great sages and demigods were never established statues of men and demigods, but they established temples of Vishnu for the benefit of common men to raise them to the platform of God consciousness. Oma Ganati Virandasya Jnana Gana Shalakaya Chakshu Amblitam Dina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manoblistam Stapatam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Peshnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pastityadi Siddharini. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurachache Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Sivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. So, text 22, the English translation. On the bank of the river Saraswati, there were 11 places of pilgrimage, namely Trita, Ushana, Manu, Pitu, Agni, Asita, Vayu, Sudas, Go, Guha, and Shraddhadev. Vidura visited all of them and duly performed rituals. English translation for text 23. There were also many other temples of various forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, established by great sages and demigods. These temples were marked with the chief emblems of the Lord, and they reminded one always of the original personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. So this is a continuation of the pilgrimage places that were being visited by Vidura after he left the temple, the palace in Hastinapur, Hare Krishna. So he made good use of a bad situation. He was insulted by the Duryodhana, and rather than get all upset about it and just lash out back at the Duryodhana, which is what many people do these days because of Kali Yuga, he said, well, if I'm being treated like that, I wouldn't stay in the palace. I'll leave the palace. But when he left, because he was thinking of Krishna, he turned that situation into a positive one by visiting places of pilgrimage. And the first text 22, describes the places that he visited on the bank of the river Saraswati. It explains that there were 11 of them, 11 places of pilgrimage. And we do it to his credit and also as a lesson for all of us. He visited these places. The places are listed from Trita all the way up to Shradadeva. And it is said in that particular text that Vidura visited all of them and duly performed rituals. Vidura visiting all the places of pilgrimage showed his determination to take advantage, full advantage of his travels in a spiritual way. That's our first lesson. Everything we do in Krishna consciousness, we should never do it piecemeal. Like do a part of it and say, "Oh, I think I'll stop here." If there's more to be done and you can do it, you need to do all of it. So Vidura visiting all the places of pilgrimage when he got to the bank of the river Saraswati is an indication that one, no matter what it was that he faced, he was determined to overcome. It doesn't say that he had to overcome some things, but if you're traveling, there's always challenges that come up. He was traveling disguised, so he didn't even have a place to sleep, but he didn't allow that to bother him. He just kept going. He kept going. He kept going. He kept going. All the places of pilgrimage. And then when he got to each place, he performed the rituals done at that particular place. So he took full advantage of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's what we learn from this. In text 23, then he's talking about temples of various forms of the personality of Godhead, Vishnu, which we will discuss in a few minutes, the various forms. The various forms, the temples are established by great sages and demigods. Demigods are thinking about Supreme Personality of Godhead. They live in a mode of goodness. Of course, there's a lot of opulence in the heavenly planets. That's by the Lord's will. Brahma has put it that way, has constructed it that way. But there's so much goodness that's there. And people do think about Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, in the heavenly planets. Sages worship Lord Vishnu, demigods worship Lord Vishnu. And there's also quite a bit of wealth in all the heavenly planets there as well. Material wealth is better than what's on the earth. So the demigods are teaching us a lesson, transferring their belief and their worship of Supreme Personality of Godhead into service of constructing temples for the Lord. And there's also a chakra, which Srila Prabhupada breaks down as to why the chakra is put on top of these temples. So Srila Prabhupada starts by saying that human society is different. It's divided into 4 social orders: Chatu, Varna, Maya, Shishtam, Guna, Kama, Vibhagasa. Also, 4 spiritual divisions: Brahmachari, Grihastha, Panaprastha, and Sannyasi. So the social orders of life are Brahmanas, the top of the social order of life, then Kshatriyas, administrators, and military people, Vaishyas, business and agricultural people, and Shudras are employees that serve the others, the other 3. So that's the social orders of life. Now, the sages are always completely devoting themselves to the spiritual upliftment of the entire society. They are called Vijadeva. There were sages in Naimisharanya. In Naimisharanya, the aim of them assembling there was to do puja for the benefit of the entire human society. They weren't doing pujas for themselves, to benefit the entire society. So, human society. So with that in mind, it is no wonder that Sutta Goswami came and blessed them with what he had heard from Shukadeva Goswami when he was preaching Srimad Bhagavatam to Maharaj Pariksit. Good begets good. That's the point we're making here. The sages are devoting themselves, or they devote themselves generally, this is how they live, to uplift spiritually the entire human society by their actions. And therefore, as Krishna says, Ye yatama bhajante tam sateva bhajamyaham. Whatever that we involve ourselves in spiritually, Krishna rewards accordingly. And so, since the sages are doing this, doing pujas, but to uplift the whole society and not for themselves, then Krishna would reward with something nice. Hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is something the sages would definitely love to be involved in. Srila Prabhupada says that the denizens of usually the word denizens used for the inhabitants of the heavenly planets, the higher planets, and it starts from the moon planets and on. There are different times on different planets. Generally, it's set like every day, or say 12 hours of their time in the superior, in the heavenly planets, so 6 months for us. So another 12 hours, which makes 24 hours, then is a full year of our time. So every time they do 1 day, there 1 day, full 1 day from the beginning to the next day, the same time, we've done 1 year here. But for the moon planet, which is also a heavenly planet, but running on a different time, every day of our time, every day of time on the moon planet is 1 month for us. Again, when I say day, Papa tends to talk about daytime as 12 hours. That would be 15 days of our time. But the night time also, the next 12 hours, another 15 days. So on the moon planet, when there is 1 day for them going from one time to the next time, the next day, we've done 1 month. So the time is not even the same. When you go to Brahmaloka, then it's even more. The time is way huge, very, very different. 1 second of Lord Brahma's time is 100,000 years of our time. We're not talking about 1 day of the time in the heavenly planet being 1 year for us, but 1 second of Lord Brahma's time is that big, as much as 100,000 years. So it varies. But the one thing that's common is those who are in the heavenly planets, they're pious. And they think of Lord Vishnu. And they establish temples. So they had done that. They did quite a bit of work on this earth here. Pious work. But when Kali Yuga came, and people became more and more and more degraded in consciousness, then the demigods stopped coming to this earth. In Satya Yuga, they were coming. You can see them with your eyes, just like you see everybody else. But now it doesn't happen because the demigods are in mode of goodness and very much attached to the mode of goodness. Therefore, they don't like to be in places where more ignorance, as it's happening in this earth now, goes on. But still, when they were here, they established these temples. And the different forms of the Lord are established there as deities. So Srila Prabhupada takes the opportunity here to describe the Lord expanding himself in innumerable forms, the four-handed Vishnu. And each hand holds a particular item, either a conch shell, the wheel, the club, or lotus flower. The wheel is called chakra, conch shell, and club, and the lotus flower. So Lord Vishnu has 4 hands, and each hand holds 1 item. Therefore, it is possible, I don't think too deeply into it, but I'll just explain it from a statistical point of view. So 1 hand can hold 1 item. that hand can hold a different item like that. And the other hand too can hold another item like that. So there are different combinations that Lord Vishnu can hold these four items. And in math, it's very, I won't break it down at how it comes that way, but there's something called factorial. So it's four items. And how many ways can four items be held? That's called 4 factorial. And factorial just simply means multiply it all the way down to 1. So 4 factorial is 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. 10 factorial will be 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5, like all the way up to 1. Multiply together. So since we're talking about 4 items, so it's 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, which is 24. So there are 24 ways in which these items, 4 hands, can be held by Lord Vishnu. This is 4 hands. 4 items can be held by it. So there's 24. Lord Vishnu's, in that sense, holding this, and each one has a name. There are other aspects of the Shastra when you get to in this list of 24 by name. But Srila Prabhupada says there are these 4 emblems. The chakra, the wheel, is the chief. So Lord Vishnu sometimes, or Lord Krishna, is called Chakri. And the Lord's chakra is a symbol of power by which the Lord controls the whole manifestation. He also, at his own will, protects devotees with his chakra. Sudarshan chakra, we tend to call it. For example, Maharaj Ambarish, who was a Raja Rishi, a great king, he did a puja. He fasted actually, for the benefit of the people in this kingdom, for all living entities actually, not just human beings. And so he went on a fast, and Durvas Muni decided to come visit him towards the end of his fasting. And so Durvas Muni, he is a partial incarnation of Lord Shiva. So he has a lot of metaphysical abilities and mystic siddhis. He also has a very bad temper. But that we won't get into how that is so, but that's Durvas Muni. If you upset him, he tends to want to curse or destroy the person that did that. So he comes to visit Durvas Muni. Ambarish. Now, Ambarish was very popular because he was such a pious king and a just king. Very popular among the citizens. And that popularity made Durvas Muni get envious of Ambarish because Ambarish had so much popularity and is loved by the citizens, and Durvas Muni has so much power, but people knew him, and love wasn't so much what they were exhibiting towards him. Some people feared him because he could curse easily, and he has so much power. But he became envious of Maharaj Ambarish, and with all his metaphysical ability, being able to see from one place, it's called remote viewing, sitting at one place and seeing what's going on in another place. He decided to time his visit to Ambarish Maharaj at the time Ambarish was finishing the fast. And when he came, of course, Maharaj Ambarish received him very nicely and was going to give him prasad. But Durvas Muni said that, well, I'm going to go take a bath in the river and then come back and take my prasad at that time. Maharaj Ambarish agreed. Durvas Muni left, but it was part of the strategy of Durvas Muni to give Ambarish Maharaj a hard time. He was supposed to go take a shower take a bath in the river and return. How long does that take? Not very long. Durvas Muni deliberately remained gone for a long time, and the time came for Maharaj Ambarish to break the fast. To make the fast not only significant, but also fruitful for the benefit of the people. Durvas Muni hadn't returned. And by etiquette, when you have a visitor, you have to feed the visitor first before you take. Durvas Muni knew that, and Durvas Muni was disrupting Maharaj Ambarish's fast by delaying his return to him, to Maharaj Ambarish's palace. So then Maharaj Ambarish consulted with sages and others who were there, his ministers. What should he do? Durvas Muni had not returned. Then they advised him, take a small amount of chanamrita. Chanamrita is water that's used in bathing the deities. Those were the temple. And Sunday evenings, usually it's on the right side of the altar that anybody can have. It has very, very, very wonderful potency. So they explained to Maharaj Ambarish, if you take that, then in a sense, you've broken your fast, but in a sense, you have not. In terms of taking a real meal, you haven't. But at least you've taken something in the mouth, you swallowed it, therefore that means it is an indication of the end of the fasting. Durvas Muni can see from where he is at anywhere else that he wants to see. So he saw that Maharaj Ambarish did that. He returned at that time mad as hell. You, Maharaj Ambarish, you don't know how to treat people. Don't you know that when you have a visitor and it comes time, you have to feed the visitor first before you take? Because of what you've done, I'm going to chastise you. And he really went after the worst chastisement you can give anybody, death. Durvas Muni plucked the hair from his head, dashed it on the floor, and this huge demon with destructive power, very strong demon, appeared. And it was going to basically kill Maharaj Ambarish. But Maharaj Ambarish is a devotee of the Lord. So he wasn't scared. He just said, all right, so if this particular being is going to destroy me and that's what the Lord wants, then let it be. And if the Lord does not want this being to destroy me, then what can he do? So that was Maharaj Ambarish's total faith in Krishna in that situation that was disturbing. And wouldn't you know it, as soon as he thought that way and prayed that way, the Sudarshan Chakra of the Lord came. And the Sudarshan Chakra, as you've said, Srila Prabhupada said here, his control, the Lord's control, is exhibited for the most part by the Sudarshan Chakra. Sometimes he'll take part in fighting himself. Other times he just let the chakra do the work. So the chakra destroyed this being that Durvas Muni created, for lack of a better word to put it. And then he came after Durvas Muni, because Durvas Muni intended for King Amarish to be killed. So the Sudarshan Chakra killed that demon, and then he came after Durvas Muni with intent to kill him. Durvas Muni started running away, and the Sudarshan Chakra chased him. The Sudarshan Chakra is very hot. So as Durvas Muni was running away, the Sudarshan Chakra was after him, and it was very hot, so Durvas Muni was actually being burned. He was feeling the heat from it. He went different places. Went to Ramaloka. Lord Brahma says, I can't help you. Finally, he went to, after the demigods' abodes, he went to Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu says, you have offended my devotee. I cannot assist you. The way to do this is to go back and apologize to my devotee. And then if the devotee forgives you, then you have basically done your part then. So Durvas Muni had to return and beg forgiveness from Maharaj Ambarish. And Maharaj Ambarish, in his humble self, said, why are you even doing this? You're my guest. But Durvas Muni had no choice. He either does that or the Sudarshan Chakra destroys him. So that's how powerful, even a person like Durvas Muni, that's how powerful the lost chakra is. There's so many other incidents, so many other parts of the pastimes of the Lord that the Sudarshan Chakra was used. And in certain wars, they were used. the chakra was used, and the chakra made it easy for the other side, in fact, those in Mathura at the time, to defeat Jarasan's army. Also, it was a chakra that was used. So it has a lot of power, and nobody can ever defeat. There's nothing in the Shastra anywhere that says that the chakra was inefficient in dealing with the situation. It always deals well. So the top of the Vishnu temples, the chakra is put there. From my understanding, Jagannath Puri also is like that. Lord Jagannath's temple, there is a chakra on the top. And at this point, there are some different races that are not allowed in the temple. But those who are not allowed, as a matter of fact, Haridas Thakur, who was a Mohammedan at the time, he was not allowed in the temple. So he was worshiping Lord Jagannath from a distant place using the chakra that was on the top of the Jagannath temple. So there is that aspect of the chakra, its power. And of course, by seeing that on the top of the temples, then people can remember Lord Krishna. So that's why the temples were built very high, so that on the top of the temple building, the chakra is there. So from a distant place, anyone looks at that direction where the temple is, they can see the chakra. And when they see the chakra, they know that this belongs to the Lord, and they remember the Lord that way. So this is great, 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 great benefit that sages and demigods have done. Not only putting temples there, but putting the chakra on top of the temples. From what I know, inside decision by Baltimore Temple, they were also planning on putting a chakra on top of the new temple that's there. I don't think it's done yet, but they definitely have those plans. So at some point, there would be a chakra on top of the temple in Baltimore. And of course, wouldn't it be nice if we had a temple here? Ours also had a chakra, but that's up to management to decide that. So to raise people to the platform of God consciousness, when you think about it, without even entering a temple or being in a far place in the temple, just by seeing the chakra, we remember Krishna. And remembering Krishna is very important. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, text 6, Yam yam vapisman bhavam, chajanti anti kaleva, tam tam evam konteya, sada tat bhava bhavita. The translation is, whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Whatever state of being, what the mind is thinking of when a person dies, that state he will attain. So the mind helps us, helps to determine, not helps us, but helps to determine what kind of body we get into for the next life. So imagine all of these people who look at a temple, not even entering the temple, but they see the chakra on the top of the temple and they remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The more that we remember something or we do something in our lives repeatedly, so there's so much of the frequency, large frequency, because we're doing something over and over and over and over and again, that is that which will come to the mind of a person who is leaving the body. The more things that you've done, the one that you've done the most in your life is what you're going to remember. So just by looking at a fireplace, the temple is there, it's high, the chakra is on top of it, and people are remembering Krishna. Of course, for us, Lord Chaitanya has also made it easy to remember Krishna by chanting the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna mantra. Every time we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, we remember Krishna. And therefore, to remember him as often as possible, we need to chant as often as possible. That will be good for us. Srila Prabhupada says in this purport of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, text 6, this point we should note very carefully. how can one leave the body in a proper state of mind? Bharat Maharaj, he was a great personality, the son of Maharaj Yashavardhan, who was an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he allowed a deer into his life and didn't even do his service in the forest. He turned his attention fully to a deer to take care of a deer, a baby deer that he rescued. But he stopped doing his service in the forest. After quitting the administration, he was the king, quitting the administration and going to the forest to devote full time to serving Krishna. He gets distracted by this deer. And at the end of his life, he's thinking about the deer. Therefore, he was transferred into the body of a deer. Because he remembered only the deer, he had so much association, for lack of a better word, with the deer. So his consciousness was about that. And the deer was around him at the time he was leaving his body. He spent so much time in the forest. He left the forest, he left the kingdom when he was 24 years old, very young. Spent all that time in the forest just to have a deer take away his opportunity to go back to Godhead. But the Lord blessed him. The next life, after the deer died, he came as a human again. Usually that wouldn't happen. When you go to the animal body, you just don't go back right away into a human body next life. No, you'll stay in the animal species, so many types of animal bodies before you ever get a chance to come to a human body, if that. Most people actually even go down to lower bodies like bird bodies and those kind of things, insect bodies and tree bodies. If a person has been very, very bad, motor ignorance in their lives, that's what's going to happen. You sink down, 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 down to other species. Human life is not taken so easily. So Maharaj Bharat, got the opportunity to come back to a human body. And he was born, and he was called Jat Bharat. And Jat Bharat was fully Krishna conscious. And he made sure he protected himself by not being so easily seen. Just like Vidura also, when he went on pilgrimage, he did not want people to notice him. He's prime minister and, in the Trashtra's government. And of course, they will just pay attention to him. He's a great personality. He's popular. So he made himself such that people would not even realize that was Vidura. Jat Bharat did the same thing. Maharaj Bharat, when he was born from a deer's body, he made himself not so easily seen or recognized, I should say. So that's in Srimad Bhagavatam, the 5th canto. So Srila Prabhupada says, one's thoughts during the course of one's life accumulate to influence one's thoughts at the moment of death. One's thoughts during the course of one life, they add on, and they have some influence on the thoughts at the time of death. That's why when the chakra is seen, and people know that that refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they remember the Lord. And if they see it every day, then every day they're remembering the Lord. And that would accumulate so that when the time of death comes, because the person has been thinking of Krishna and remembering Krishna, that time of death, there's a very high chance they will remember Krishna or Vishnu. And therefore go to the place where the Lord is, in Vaikuntha. So that's how it works for us. It is extremely important that we also do everything we can to remember Krishna. The easiest way is to hear about Krishna and chant the holy name of Krishna. When we serve in the temple and we are associating with devotees, we are in a Krishna conscious atmosphere. So that also helps us to remember Krishna. And when we serve as a team with others and we relate nicely to them, then we get good relationships. Our relationships are already good and they get even better. But it's all ultimately about serving Krishna, serving devotees, and remembering Krishna. And then when the time comes to leave the body, we are already, for lack of a better word, wired to remember Krishna, mentally to remember Krishna. And when we remember Krishna, as it says that, Yam Yama Peace Phanam, whatever state the person remembers when he quits his body, Usana Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Srila Prabhupada wants us to go home. Krishna even more so wants us to go home. Srila Prabhupada's mercy has made it possible for us to chant 16 rounds minimum rather than 64 rounds a day. We're doing only a quarter as the minimum qualification to go home. But throughout the day, we need to hear lectures if we have the time. We need to hear bhajans and kirtans about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that we can make arrangements for that. We can make our house, put things in the house to remind us about Krishna, because the more we have things around us that our subconscious is picking up on, pictures, especially pictures of the Lord and the spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada, we will in fact record all of those in our minds. As we're going about our daily activities, those paraphernalia that are connected with Krishna, if it's in the house, they are reminding us of Krishna every time. Every time. And that accumulates, that accumulates, that accumulates. That memory is all stored in our major part of the brain called the subconscious. And that would allow us to remember Krishna. And of course, you're also relating nicely to the devotees. When the time comes and we are on our deathbed, the devotees that we related nicely to will definitely come help us by chanting the holy name of the Lord so we can remember. But our own devotional activity throughout our lives, if it's such that we remember Krishna the whole time when we're living, then that's what will accumulate in ourselves. We will remember Krishna even at that time, the final exam. So we have a wonderful opportunity to go back to the spiritual world. As Srila Prabhupada always says, one should take advantage of it. He's always saying that. Practically in all his lectures, he says that. Take advantage of going back. Take advantage of going back. Just like we take advantage of buying an item when it's on sale. Krishna consciousness is on sale. We don't do 64 rounds. We don't have to do it. We do 16 rounds. So in that sense, japa chanting is also on sale. So what do? You take advantage of it, just like you take advantage of anything else that's put on sale, even if it's material. So that way, you get to go back to the most wonderful environment that is even better than what we would think of. We can't imagine how wonderful the spiritual world is. That's a whole lecture in itself. But each one wish everybody else well, help us to remember Krishna. And of course, the chakra is there. Whenever you see the temples and we go to any place of pilgrimage, it will be there and it will remind us of Krishna. Remembering Krishna is very important. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you for coming on to here. And now this is the time you unmute yourself if you have a question. Or if you want to make a comment about this lecture or any other thing that you want to bring in the spiritual discussion, you're definitely free to do that. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Prabhupada.
Prabhupada.
All glories to the devotees on the call.
Jai.
Thank you for a nice class. One of the things that I can take away is like whatever we are trying to do is like to give our best in that. So that is one thing that I can take away. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yeah. Do your best in every service. Do your best. Put your best foot forward, as they say in American language. Very, very important, because Krishna watches not as much the service that we do as the intent behind the service. The intent. It's a good intention, or is it just something we're going to do just, not taking it so seriously? That's called niyamagraha. Doing it just for the sake of doing it, but not taking it so seriously. Sometimes when you hear that, you might think that devotees can't even believe that anybody would do something service and not take it seriously. You'll be surprised. I've been in situations like that. Somebody was advising me not to do a good job at the service that I was doing. I was shocked. I was shocked. This person had been in Krishna consciousness way longer than me and still didn't think that it was important to do it to the utmost. With the Rath Yatra, actually, we were building a platform for the Rath Yatra to get an agree. And he didn't want me to put in as much finesse into it. But this is what the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For Lord Jagannath. Why not? Of course, I had to respect him because he was senior to me. But I was surprised to even hear that he mentioned like that. Everything should be done with the utmost care and sincerity and finesse. Do the best you can in all services. And that way, Krishna will be very happy with us. So remembering him, he's very merciful, he's very kind. Srila Prabhupada talks about that all the time. We'll get a chance to go back home. He'll allow us. That's what he wants us to be about anyway. Going home and stopping this difficult life here. Hare Krishna. Any other comments? If not, then I'd like to thank you all for coming on this morning. And I'm also being purified, just like you're being purified hearing. So have a wonderful, we're in the weekend now. Today's Friday. So in the weekend, because yesterday we had a wonderful Nrsimha Chaturdasi. And then other temples too around the world. And this Sunday is regular time for our program. The Thursday coming up, His Holiness Bhaktimark Swami will be stopping by to visit us. So there will be a program for him at the temple in Harrisburg starting at 6 o'clock. Some of you may know him. He is a Srila Prabhupada disciple. He's an initiating guru. He has the degree in theater arts, and he brings his theater arts knowledge into Krishna conscious activities, plays, and so on. But he's a very, 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 very high energy personality. I don't know. He's gotten old, so I don't know how much he puts into that. But he makes his lectures and he makes his chanting, even the Prema Dwani prayers. Jayom Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajakachaja. You should see how he does his. He has a unique way of doing it. And I hope that he does that when he comes to Harrisburg. But you really will be, you will have Krishna consciousness activity and entertainment at the same time. Maharaj is like that. Okay, down. Let's see. I'll meet this up. Yeah, Hare Krishna. Go for it.
If you don't mind, I just wanted to add that he still does that. I saw him like recently at some places. So he still does that Prem Dhoni prayers in the same way.
In the
and all the
acting.
dancing and all. Yeah.
It's like a whole song and dance. Yeah. Okay. If he's doing it, then I hope that he does it in Harrisburg also. Hare Krishna. Jai. Thank you. Thank you for adding that. Now I look forward to it. It's just gonna be he's like part preacher, part entertainer. So that's what you're gonna get Thursday if you come. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhishya kripa sundibhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Jai.